Please welcome to the stage Ambassador David Cohen, Chair of Citizen Media Group.
So good afternoon, and let me add my welcome and thanks for joining us in what has become a real tentpole event for the Citizen and for Philadelphia. It's been a fantastic morning, as always. There's something energizing to hear about some really good ideas that we could bring to Philadelphia, enhance our citizenship, enhance civil life in this community. As chair of the Citizen Media Group, which is the nonprofit entity that owns and operates the Citizen and now Philadelphia Magazine, I've been asked to describe our unique approach to journalism and civic affairs, which also happens to explain why I took on this position. My story starts with something I've believed in for many years. Quality journalism is the lifeblood of democracy, the importance of which has been reinforced for me in my almost 4 years of absence from Philadelphia while I was serving as the U.S. Ambassador to Canada. That service really drove home the importance of democracy and its underlying values like justice, freedom, fairness, and equity. The importance of a free press and quality journalism, and the importance of Philadelphia in this overall story. This was driven home for me not just by my Canadian counterparts, but by the diplomatic presence in Ottawa of representatives from 150 countries around the world, all of whom marveled at the fact that I came from Philadelphia, where democracy was born and where it's been grown. So how does the Citizen contribute to this story? The Citizen practices what I call civic journalism, purpose-based journalism. We aren't afraid to tell good news stories. People want to read those too. Where else are you hearing about Unrivaled and women's sports and the potential for women's sports to grow in Philadelphia, enhance our economy, and enhance the quality of life in Philadelphia? But that doesn't mean that we don't ask the tough questions, that our journalists aren't serious about their craft. We think good journalism is doing both, doing quality, tough journalism, as well as telling good news stories. I've seen firsthand in my jobs how the financial pressures in media have led to some pretty destructive conduct by owners of journalistic enterprises. The value of clicks, the perceived benefit of gotcha journalism, focusing on the spectacular and not necessarily on just what works, snark as a way to attract and retain reader attention. The temptation can be irresistible, but we're resisting that at the Citizen. We cover politics, but we're not progressive or conservative. We're not Democratic or Republican. We want to tell the truth. We won't shy away from a good news story just because it's good news. And we tell our stories in the written word, but also through events like this that amplify our journalists' writing, and through our websites and our podcast. In short, we will meet our readers where they are, where they prefer to consume their news. So I'm going to close with one of my favorite journalism stories when I was serving as Chief of Staff to Ed Rendell. I was pushing back on one of the journalists who covered city politics, and he's a good journalist, a really good journalist. And I just asked him why he told everything from a negative perspective. I was particularly complaining about a series of stories on police corruption in Philadelphia, a difficult topic, but every story amplified and emphasized the corruption. There was very little attention paid to the steps that Philadelphia was trying to take to address that corruption. And he looked at me, we're having lunch, he looked at me over the lunch table and he said, David, he says, you know why we're doing this. You know what's happening. We're journalists. We cover airplane crashes, not airplane landings. So I've always remembered that line. If you think about traditional journalism, it's mostly about airplane crashes. Every once in a while, you get a mention of an airplane landing. So at the Citizen Media Group, we're going to cover airplane crashes. They're important. But we won't be afraid to cover airplane landings. I think that balance is the ultimate definition of quality journalism. I think it is the ultimate definition of civic journalism. And as chair of the board of this enterprise, and on behalf of the enterprise and Larry Platt and Roxanne and the entire Citizen Media Group team, I'm inviting you to come along for the ride. I think you'll enjoy it, and I think you'll find that this kind of journalism is what you're interested in and what causes you to love our city. So thanks again for coming today, and thanks for listening. It's now my pleasure to deliver the best line of my remarks, which is it's time for lunch. Please join us for lunch and enjoy the afternoon as well. Thank you.